Hey, welcome to the Coach Corral. It's your home for all things Philip Barbour High School athletics. I'm your host, Brian Bibey, and today we're shining the spotlight on one of the most successful and inspiring coaches in West Virginia high school sports. Heather Halfin, personal friend of mine, head coach of the Philip Barbour girls volleyball team, with 7 state titles, yes, 7, and over 2 decades of excellence. Coach Halfin has built a legacy of leadership, grit, and championship culture. We're going to dive into her journey, into her coaching philosophy, and the stories behind the success. So, whether you're a Colts fan, a volleyball enthusiast, or just love a good sports story, you're in the right place. Heather, let's get started. What do you say?
I'm ready.
All right. Heather Halfin's a highly respected and accomplished volleyball coach at Philip Barbour High School in Philippi, West Virginia. Like I said, she's led the Colts volleyball program to remarkable success, including 7 state titles and just an unprecedented 23 consecutive appearances in state tournament. Heather has coached some of the most dominant players in West Virginia high school volleyball history, including her daughter, McKenna Halfin, who recently graduated after a stellar career. McKenna was a 3-time state champion, Class AA All-State captain, West Virginia High School Volleyball Player of the Year, and the Gatorade West Virginia Volleyball Player of the Year for 2023-2024. Heather, I'm thrilled to have you on. I've been wanting to do this for some time. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with you and some of your players throughout the volleyball season, and as you and your team look to defend the Class AA state title this year.
We're going to give it a shot. That's for sure.
That's all you can do, right?
Yep.
So I think you guys have been in this position before, so it's not anything new to you. So let's just jump right into this.
All right.
Can you share your journey into coaching volleyball and how you came to lead the program at Philip Barbour?
Sure. So when I started playing volleyball when I was in middle school just to have something to do. I was always a basketball player and just athletic, and we didn't really have the chance to play much volleyball before middle school. Like, we didn't have a bunch of youth leagues and things like that. I just played it in gym class. And so I just kind of picked up a volleyball and started playing, and I enjoyed it. So I played at Daniel Morgan Middle School, which was in Winchester. I moved to Cape and Bridge, West Virginia, and played there in middle school, and then finished up playing at Hampshire High School in Romney, my high school career. When I started to think about where I wanted to go to college, I kind of always thought that I was a better basketball player than I was volleyball player. In fact, I laughed because when I made my volleyball recruiting video, I was wearing a pair of jean shorts. And so I laughed because I can't even believe anybody even recruited me wearing a pair of stinking jean shorts. But I did. I went to AB. I called AB because I thought I was going to go to University of Charleston. But I called AB to tell them that I appreciated the opportunity that they were going to give me. And the coach at the time said, well, let me just tell you what we can give you. And they told me, and so I got a full ride. Of course, you being a parent of a collegiate athlete, a full ride is a pretty big deal. And so, my mom was a single mom, and I thought, I don't really have much of a choice. Like, I kind of have to do this. And so I'm super glad that I did, because it definitely led me to where I am now. I played 4 years at Alderson Broaddus. And then when I graduated, I began to volunteer coach with Coach Debbie Spears. She was the first coach here at Philip Barbour. And, I only coached with her for 2 years, but I learned a lot because I was young and I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought, oh, I got this. And, she was really big on building a team that could trust each other. And she was really good on like team dynamics. And so I knew a lot of the skills and such of volleyball, but I was fresh out of college and I was like, I don't really know what much about how to build a team culture and things like that. And so, and while she was here, she was very successful. So it's not like I walked into a program that had not experienced success. And so I certainly credit Debbie for giving me the opportunity and for taking a pretty young girl. I mean, I was only 21, I think, when I graduated, and giving me that experience to get into a program. And so I volunteer coached for a while. And then Debbie had decided that she was moving on. So I got hired. I believe I always get this mixed up, but I think that I actually started in 2000. Like, I think that was my first year. And at the time, we were AAA. We were pretty, we were pretty solid size school at AAA. And so that's kind of how I got into coaching. That's kind of where my journey started in terms of that.
Okay. No, I appreciate the background on that. It's interesting, your first year or two on the job. Can you talk about what were some of the struggles that you were dealing with, maybe with just from a coaching standpoint or just player development standpoint? Can you talk a little bit about that first couple years?
So yeah, the first 2 years were definitely, because I was by myself. This was before the old school was built, and we were using one gym over in the old school. And I felt like because I was still pretty young and around some of the girls' age, I really, really tried to work on establishing myself as the coach and not their friend, like trying to put that difference in there. I mean, I certainly wanted them to like me, but, my philosophy has always kind of been that you play the best ones. And so I know, a lot of times you hear, oh, you're just going to play them because of who they are, because of their last names and things like that. And I'm like, I'm not even from here. I don't know who these people are. And so we did a lot of, probably now that I look back, like some pretty boring drills, like basics, but just going over a lot of that stuff, like repetitiveness, like repeat, repeat, repeat. And, and they bought into it, and that's important, like getting your kids to trust you enough that they will buy into your program. I mean, I think that's, like that's a huge part of being successful. And so they saw how dedicated I was to Philip Barbour volleyball. I mean, I wasn't, other than the fact that I was coaching there. It wasn't like I graduated from Philip Barbour or anything. But I love the sport of volleyball, and I really just kind of threw myself into it. And I would constantly be looking up new drills. I mean, I've been coaching for a long time now, and I still am always looking up new drills. But, I wanted to try and Debbie did a great job of establishing that as well. So when I got her girls, I certainly tried to keep up a lot of the things that she was doing. One of the big things too that that I felt like early on that I've always kind of had, and some years I've noticed that it happens a little bit more than others, is giving girls ownership in this team. I mean, I'm the coach, and I'm going to guide them, and I'm going to tell them when they're doing things right, and I'm going to correct them and work my best to fix them when they're wrong. But I like, one of my favorite things has always been to watch girls grow, like to watch girls go from a timid freshman who probably is completely lost to coming back the next year, and then they're the ones showing people where to go. And so I feel like that took me a while to kind of get, to be able to step back, because I feel like I was almost over coaching. And so I think that was probably a challenge. I think another challenge was probably, I just lost my train of thought. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
That's okay. But I think
There's
too,
something
going back
else, and I lost it. I should have
when
wrote
it
it
comes
down.
when it comes back, let me know. But it comes back to those early years. You're setting the foundation, right? You probably at that time thinking, I'm not going to do this for 20,
Mm,
23,
I
24 more
never
years,
thought.
right?
No, I never thought.
Yeah, you don't, and here we are, and now it's just like, okay, you're setting the foundation. You look back on those years, and it's like, holy smokes, now I see what I did, and I get it. But you were laying the foundation there, so that's pretty cool. I want to talk about, again, I guess, kind of a good segue, building a championship program like you have. You guys have won 7 state titles under your leadership. What do you think's been the key to sustaining such success?
Um, Sorry, I had to turn my light back on.
That's all right.
I think probably just the buy-in, because every time somebody comes to me and wants to, like, say, like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome and this and that, I say, look, it's not me. Like, I am showing them how to do things, but it's them. Like, it is completely the girls. And so just establishing, I mean, what one thing that I try to do is to challenge the girls to do things that they've not done before. And so it's sometimes hard because you get such a comfort level and you just go through the motions and go through the motions, etc. And a lot of these girls come to me and they have never really been challenged. Like they've never really been pushed to the point like where they feel like they're going to throw up, or they feel like they're going to, like they just go till they feel like they're just tired and then they want to slow down. And I'm like, no, like that's when you need to step it up. And so, and I don't back down from that. And I just talked to my parents last night. I said, I need that from you too. Like I need you to encourage that and let me push your girls. I mean, I'm not going to push them to the point where I'm going to hurt them, but if you just continue to do the same things over and over and stay at that level, you're never going to get that picture on the wall because you're going to be just as good as a freshman as you are as a senior. And so you've got to challenge yourself and you've got to push yourself to get better constantly. So, I am constantly talking about growth and, not accepting anything but the best and pushing themselves and challenging themselves. And, like that's hard because a lot of people don't do that. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
just say, well, maybe this is all that they can do. And I don't. Like I always tell them that if I stop yelling at them, that they should be worried. So like when I'm constantly saying something to them, I'm like, I know, everybody's different and I need to, every year you're learning how you can coach different people because everybody responds to different types of coaching. But no matter what, if I know that you can do something, I'm not going to shut up. Like I'm going to be in your face all the time and I'm going to be yelling and it's going to, like I always think of it like somebody that's in the weight room and they're getting ready to like max out and everyone's like,
Right.
let's go, you got this, like whatever. And
Right.
you're screaming like that's me because I want them I want them to reach their max. And so that's kind of why I do what I do. But I think that buy-in, like just knowing that like it is a successful program. And if you're willing to put in the work, that I'm going to make you better. Like I'm going to work my butt off to make you the best player that you can possibly be. And I think that I have that from, like from so many girls. I laugh about the girls who are back helping me coach that they all played for me. So I always tell the girls now, I'm like, well, I must not have been too bad because they're all back. And so, and I'm sure there were times when they were, cussing me under their breath and whatever, but like they know why I did it. It wasn't,
Right.
it was never anything personal. I like to challenge girls. And I think that deep down inside that a lot of them want that and crave that. And they definitely need that. I just don't think all of them are willing to admit that they need that. And so that's kind of different for some of them. And, a lot of times it's hard, but I always tell them that nothing in life that's easy is ever worth it. Like you want to push yourself because it's those challenges. And when you overcome adversity and when you push through the hard times, those are the things that are worth it. Cause you've worked for that. It wasn't just given to you. You've earned that. And so, I think that's the biggest thing probably.
Well, you answered my second question already because I think you've answered right there. How do you approach team culture, right? You just talked about that. How do you approach player development year after year? You just answered that for me. You know what? I'm going to get after you, but I demand excellence. I demand excellence out of yourself, and that's what I heard, and I've seen it on the court with you, through the years, and four of my nieces have played for you and have moved on, and one is currently with you, the
Hmm.
Carpenter girls.
Yep.
And I've watched it firsthand, and I've always appreciated it how you get the best out of them. You push them right to the brink, and that's why you guys win. So I appreciate that insight. I think our fans and the listeners and viewers will appreciate that as well. So thank you for that.
Well,
I
and they
want to.
also know that like they don't have to be perfect. I mean, like some of them get so frustrated and I laugh all the time because they're either hitting balls off the wall or they kick a ball far away or they're screaming or whatever. I'm sure people have walked by our gyms and thought that I was by the gym and thought I was murdering them because they get so frustrated because they get to the point where they are so intense. And I mean, yeah, they get that from me, but I also tell them like you're not going to be perfect, and you're going to have games and days, maybe practices or whatever, where you know things aren't going to always go your way, but you need to learn from your mistakes and move past that because I used the example last night, like, of course, everybody's always on their phones and always using Wi-Fi. And I'm like, how many times do you think that guy who invented Wi-Fi and the cell phone failed before succeeded? And thank God, because I'm sure all of you guys appreciate the fact that he kept going. And that's, like, that's what I want you to do. You're going to get knocked down and things are going to challenge you. And you're going to have a day where you feel like you don't even know what a volleyball is, but, I understand that, and it's how you learn from all that that's going to make you into the player that you are, and that comes from them. I mean, all I can do is encourage and work on trying to fix things, but that comes from them. And so, like, a lot of them have difficulty with that too, because they want me to try to fix everything, and I'm like, you're an adult, like you're a young adult, and you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. Like, it's you're not going to get benched forever because you shank a pass or something. Like,
Right.
learn from what you did and fix it, and then it's going to make you a better player. So,
Let me ask you this along those
mhm.
lines. It's evident you set very clear expectations from the very beginning of each season. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I think
Can
so.
you
I mean, I think so. Like, I
can you
mean,
elaborate on that a little bit?
sure. I mean, they know coming in, thank goodness we have the flex days and we have time in June, so that they can come and see what volleyball's like. Because especially if you're coming from the middle school, it's just such a faster paced game to go from middle school to high school. And so having those days and like going to some tournaments and even just going and watching, because a lot of the girls who maybe didn't get to play this summer still came and watched. I mean, it's such a huge difference, and having those days really makes a world of difference, because they they come. I mean, I don't try to take all of their summer away because everybody needs some time off, but I encourage them to come in June so that if they've got questions, we can work through the kinks, because that certainly makes August a lot easier when we've already, kind of, they know my expectations, and they know that kind of stuff. You know, this group, of course, I've been with all of them, the whole time, but, some of them, you mentioned Finley's group, Finley, Izzy,
Yeah.
Megan, Kinsley, that kind of group, of juniors. I've coached them since they were like in fourth grade. So whereas some people come in as freshmen terrified because I am screaming, that group knew exactly what to expect. I really think that that's why they're as intense as what they are, because they've been with me for so long. And so they know how I am, and they know that those expectations, I mean, I make them clear, like, and I want them to have a good time. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I want this to be, you only get 4 years of high school. And I tell them, don't wish those days away. And, each year is a new year. Yes, you're state champions, but guess what? People are coming for you. Like, this
Yeah.
is a new year. It's a new group of people. We got to start again. We got to get that team dynamics back, and we got to add the people who are new, coming into this, and for this culture to work. And, we're resetting. I mean, just like when, there's a dead ball, we reset, or if things get out of control. Sorry, there's that fly. Um, when things get out of control, you have to like pause for a second and take a breath and reset. So every year, that's what it is. It's a reset, and it's, trying to get things pulled together again to make it back to states, and to accomplish the goal of winning another title. And I like the fact that they come in making the goals. I mean, it's their titles. It's not mine. I mean, these titles aren't mine. They belong to them. They're the ones, I say this is our goal. They're the ones that make it happen. And so
Yeah.
all of those state titles, I mean, they definitely belong to the players, because they did what it took to get to that point. So,
Well, again, this it's expectations, right? You said it
mhm.
in the culture, and it all kind of gets tied back in together. I want to switch gears here.
Okay.
I want to talk about coaching your daughter, McKenna Halfin. Uh, what was it like coaching McKenna through such a decorated high school career?
Of course, it's always hard to coach it's always hard to coach your own kids. I mean, I worried about not so much what people would say, like, about me and my decisions, but I didn't want anything to ever be said about her and why she was out there, because my philosophy has always been, you play the best players, no matter their age, no matter who they are, whatever. If McKenna would have come out and she would not have been good, then she would have sat on the bench. I mean, and so it was rough. I mean, the first year we went to a tournament, and somebody was talking to her on the court, and they called the ball out, and so she backed off and didn't play it. I like Scoop going off. She backed off and didn't play the ball, and I didn't know that somebody had called out, and so I screamed at her. And then she was like, Mom, they told me it was out. And I said, I'm, okay. But she was, she was crying, and I took her out. And after the game was over, she was still kind of upset. And some of the girls were, were trying to calm her down. And I just took her to the side and I said, look, I'm going to coach you the same way I coach anyone else. I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you. In fact, you're probably going to get it even harder
Yeah.
because, you're my kid. And it's just hard because you always have those high expectations for your kids. And so, I say that, but then I look at all of my kids, all of my girls as my kids. And so that kind of goes back to the high expectation thing, because I do treat them all like they are my kids. And so they know that. But back to the story, she calmed down a little bit, and the girls were like, look, your mom has made us all cry at some point. And I said, oh, now, like, no, I haven't. And they're like, yeah, raise your hand if you've ever, if she's ever made you cry. And they were like, yeah, like there's several, probably not enough. I mean, I probably don't have enough fingers. And I'm like, but
I
it's
think you've
because
made
of that
Joe.
intent. It's that intensity, and they are pushing themselves so hard, and they want to do well. And I mean, I hope they don't want to do well for me. I hope
Yeah.
they want to do well for their team. And so, like, I just, again, that's good. But that goes back to those high expectations. But, she played her freshman year. She came out and she was an outside for me her freshman year. I had two really strong middles with Alyssa and Emily, and so she's playing outside now in college. And so she blames me all the time for taking her out of the outside spot and putting her in the middle after her freshman year. But, we were at in the state tournament game in the state championship, and they kept giving her the ball. And I'm like, oh my, what are you doing? Like, you've got these two really good middles, and anybody who plays volleyball knows that the easiest set is the outside. And so they were feeding her, and they were feeding the middles too, don't get me wrong, but they were giving her the ball. And I was like, oh Lord, we've got these two really experienced middles. Like, let's use them. And they were screaming at her, go attack it, attack it. And she played like she was a senior. I mean,
Yeah.
from her freshman year all the way up, she always kind of stepped on the court, and played hard. And you would not have ever, like, people were like, is she still here? Like, how many years has she been in high school? Like, they thought she was redshirted or something. Like, they thought I just kept bringing her back. Um, but she's very quiet. Like, anybody who watches her play, and that drove me nuts. Cause she would just smack it, as hard as she could, and it would hit like in front of the 10-foot line. And she would just turn around and, like, it was the same, and it wasn't boastful at all, and everybody knew that it wasn't boastful. Everyone's like running and smacking her on the butt and falling on their knees with excitement and stuff, and she just kind of turns around like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like, you're supposed to
Yeah.
score. Like, I just did my job. And so she was kind of she was different to coach, because I wish that I was half the player that she was, like, because I was always real vocal, but there was no way that I was hitting the ball like she was. And I mean, what made her so special is that she was one of the best, like, in my opinion, she was one of the best hitters in the state, but she was also one of the best back row players in the state,
Yeah.
because her back row play, I think if a college would have wanted her to just go and play back row, I think she'd have done that too, because she loves the back row as well, and she's really good back there. And so, um, it was fun, once she got used to the fact that it wasn't a personal attack on her, it was just, that's the way I coach. Then it was fine. It was just, the freshman year was a little rocky. After that, I mean, we had a few little instances here and there where, she might question something that I was telling her, or she would try to make an excuse. And I'm like, look, I don't like the excuses. I'm gonna tell you, like I tell everybody else, I don't like them. Like, just fix what I'm telling you to fix. And she would say, and I go, and we would fix it, and it was fine. And so it was a lot of fun. Like, that was, coaching her and watching her become the player that she became was definitely one of the highlights of my career. I mean,
Yeah.
just because she was mine. And I feel that way about a lot of my girls. But, I would be lying if I didn't say that she was a little bit more special because she was mine. Cause like
Sure.
she literally was my kid. Like,
Sure.
these other girls, my heart is so full when I watch them develop into these just freaking phenomenal players. Cause I've had so many good ones. But I mean, that she was my kid. And so I was like, just proud mom moments, like left and right. Like I can't
Well,
even describe it.
and it's important for you to have those, you and Josh both, to be able to celebrate your kids. They are your kids, right? And you only get 4 years, like you said, with them in high school. So I was happy to see that and be along for the journey myself and watch that along with my nieces and be able to see what you guys were able to accomplish, which is really cool. I want to ask the last thing about McKenna. What moment in her career made you the most proud?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe the highlight was getting to win a state title with her in her last game ever in high school. I mean, like
Yeah,
that was definitely like and we'd done it. She did it as a freshman, she did it again as a sophomore, was runner up as a junior, and then won it again as a senior. But that was one of the most emotional times because I knew that this was the last time that I was going to get to coach her. I mean, I knew that she was going to go somewhere and play, so I knew it wasn't like her last time on the court, but it was the last time with me. And that was super special. I think too, there were some times when quietly, and that she would kind of pull things together, like she would help to lead out there because she was so quiet that you never really ever knew if she was saying stuff to him or like really what was going on. And there were a couple times when she would turn around and like kind of take control. And that as a mom, like I like to see that as well. So I don't know, I mean, definitely like some of the awards and stuff, but I mean, there were a lot. I mean, I don't really know that
yeah,
I could even just say one. I mean,
that's fair.
like there were just a lot of really memorable moments. And, you know, I have watched a lot of like mom daughter duos over the years. Surprisingly, like there's been a couple others, like the woman that coached at Wirt, who is one of the most successful coaches ever in the state. She did it with her daughter, and then eventually her daughter went on to, I think her daughter's still coaching at Wirt.
Yeah,
The woman from Hoover did it. And so it's like you just can't even describe it, because I know that there were times when I purposely tried not to celebrate her as much as I would have somebody else, because I didn't want people to say like, oh, you're celebrating her more or something. So I would say I probably celebrated her less, outwardly. But definitely like on car trips, and things like that, I made sure that she knew just how well she
yeah,
did, just like I would anybody else. But, I just didn't want anyone to ever say like, oh, she cheers more for her. Cause I know if I was in the bleachers, I probably would have, cause I would, like that's just the mom in me.
yeah.
But I feel like there were a lot of times when I should have gotten really excited for her, and I tried to keep it together. And like, so, I mean, it's
I
it's
do
tough.
know
It is
it's
tough.
hard.
It's just tough. So,
It's very hard. That's for
yeah.
sure. But you did a wonderful job with that, and we're
Well, thank
so
you.
so happy to see the successes that she had, and we wish her the best at West Virginia Wesleyan. So we get the chance to
Yeah.
watch her
I'm
play
excited.
there.
I'm excited
Yeah,
to see her, how she does in her next adventure.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go another route. I want to talk to you about your coaching philosophy, and player development. Okay, you've mentioned evaluating players as total players. Can you elaborate on what that means?
Um, so I have found over the years that you can evaluate their play, obviously. I mean, like you can look at their play and you can evaluate their play. Um, you know, but and I'll use McKenna. Like some people are very, very quiet. And so I would like for them to be more vocal. And as long as they are encouraging, even if they're not real vocal, like I am okay with that. I try to make it about the we and not the me. And I really, like when I got my master's in coaching, I had to write a coaching philosophy. And I feel like it changes a little bit. I mean, like, my core values are the same. Like, I feel like, we are definitely we've always been a team that relies on each other. And even though there may be a person or two people or three people or whatever that maybe stand out in certain areas. Every single person on that court, every single person on that sideline, every single person that attends practice and puts in the hours and the reps are a part of that team, and they are an integral part of the team. And so, like, I try to celebrate everyone, and I try not to make it about like the your best hitter or your best setter or your best, libero, because it is a team. And I think that just continuously reminding the girls of that, that's part of it. I also mentioned like player accountability and holding each other accountable. I have adopted that into my philosophy because I do want there to be some player, like ownership. I want them to take the ownership role of the team and to step up. And definitely I've had some players who have done it a little bit more than others, but I feel like we try to establish it as, I don't want me to be the only one that's making corrections. I want them to learn from each other too. And yes, I do. It's a positive atmosphere. I mean, the girls have fun. Um, we have had rough patches, a lot of rough patches throughout the years. I mean, we've had teams that just said we need to go in the locker room and we need to hash some things out. I've offered to go in. Sometimes they want me in, sometimes they want me out. But them, I mean, they're not little kids. They're almost, they are young adults or almost an adult. And so that it's their team, and they need to take pride in their team, and just little things like that, all that go together. Because if your team culture is not strong, and you don't have a good, like, you don't trust each other, or like, um, you don't enjoy at least being around each other, it's really hard to play. It's really hard to play beside somebody that you don't, like, maybe they were running their mouth about you. So trying to get them to be better people in general, and then that carries over onto the court. That's a big part of my coaching philosophy too, is because I feel like athletics teaches you so much more than just the game. I mean, it teaches you so many different life skills that you can use. And I mean, yes, my goal is, my ultimate goal always is to win a state title. I mean, that's probably every coach's goal, to win the highest award that you can get. But probably deeper than that is that I want them to be good people, and I want them to be responsible adults and respectful people. And so sometimes that's tough, and for them to figure out, but it's that, getting them to figure out that that's what I'm pushing them towards, and that buy-in, that's so important to me. Like, I just can't even tell you how important that is. So I
Yeah.
think all of that kind of goes into my philosophy, and helping them to develop as not just good players but good people.
Yeah.
Because when they leave here, I don't want them to leave here and go out and into the world and do bad things. Like, I want them to do good, and whether they continue to play volleyball, if they play a different sport, if they don't play sports at all, I want them to be productive. I want them to know the value of hard work, and that if they do work hard, good things will happen. um, and that's with everything, like with
Yeah.
your job, with a family. Life is not easy, we all know that. And so that is all part of the challenge of being a coach, but that's all part of the reward of being a coach too, is that you get to help develop such good people.
Oh man, that's awesome to hear. Yeah, I mean, I've known that about you forever, and really, I think that everybody down there at Philip Barbour, that have coached and taken the time to do that. At the end of the day, that's what they want, right? You want better human beings
Yes.
at the end of the day. So
And they don't know that. I mean, they don't come
no,
into me
we
knowing
don't know
that,
that.
but like later on, like, I think that, and some of them appreciate it before they leave. Some of them appreciate it afterwards. But I mean, I do my best. I mean, I'm not a miracle worker. So there's people that I've pushed and pushed and tried and tried. And, maybe they didn't make good decisions when they left, but at least I tried. Like, I try to, like, lead by example, and I try to make good decisions. And they know that every decision that I make, I try to stress to them that every decision that I make, they may not agree with, but it's always in the best interest of them, and it's always in the best interest of a team. And that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Let's talk about. Give me a couple minutes on. I want to. I have to ask. Share your most memorable game or memorable moment that stands out in your coaching career.
So, um, obviously the first state championship is always one that kind of stands out. Um, that team was pretty special. I mean, they had decided, they had decided that this was going to happen, and they worked at like every tournament we went to, we won every, it was like the whole season. I hate to say a dream team or a dream season, but it really was. I mean, like every tournament we went to, we won. Like, and we were little. I mean, Brittany, who is my assistant, she was like one of my middles, and she's only about 5'6". And so we were not big in size, but we were big in hustle and super smart. And they loved volleyball. Like, they loved volleyball. Like, if I told them that we were having a 2-hour practice instead of a 4-hour practice, like they would be upset. Like, they wanted to play volleyball all the time. So definitely that is one that stands out, as a big one. Another one, of course, is the championships that I won with McKenna. That, that's kind of special for a different reason, because I got to enjoy it as a mom, and and as a coach. And so, even though I had other ones in between there that were just as special, I mean, don't get me wrong, this was a different kind of special. Like, it was just different. I always tell the story about Mackenzie Carpenter. We were at home and we were playing Oak Glen, and they were in our region. And so this was um, we had lost to someone. I want to say Frankfurt, but I could be wrong. But we had lost to somebody in our section, which put us in, like, we were the runner up in our region. So we had to play the number one seed from Oak Glen's region, and it was Oak Glen. And so we were playing, and they were super good. Like, they had an amazing team that year. And so we were playing, and we went to 5 games. So we're in the 5th game, and we're down like 11 to like 7 or something like that. Like, I should remember the score, but it was such a blur. But we were losing, and it was game 5, and you played a 15. So we were like 4 points away from just not going to the state tournament. So I believe it was Mackenzie's sophomore year, and I called a timeout. I called my second timeout of the game, last timeout that I had, and I called him over to the sideline, and I'm ready to cry. Like, I'm like literally, like, I'm almost in tears, because my team was good. We just had a bad game to lose. Like, we picked the worst game of the season to not play very well. And so we had put ourselves into just a really, really bad position. But I knew that we had a really good team. And so I called a timeout, and I told him, I said, this is what I see them doing. This is where I see them putting the ball. I mean, at this point, I'm asking you, like, please, like, you are 4 points. Like, you've got to battle. Like, you've got to battle, and take every point, and every point you have to, like, just go as hard as you possibly can. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say, but you just have to go as hard as you can. And Mackenzie, in the timeout, she was like, no, can I need to say something. And I'm like, okay. And I, like, at this point, I felt like I had done everything that I could do. I said what I needed to say, and it really was up to them. And so Mackenzie sort of took, I mean, not sort of, she just got in their faces, and she was like, look, we're not losing this game. Like, we have gone to states for X number of years, and I am not going to be on the first Philip Barbour volleyball team that does not go to the state tournament. It's not happening. Like, we are winning this ball game. We're winning. Like, that's the bottom line. We're going to come back, and we're going to win this ball game. And I mean, she just, basically just kind of took over and said, look, this is going to happen. And then I think it meant a lot more coming from a player, because that goes back to that, like, accountability and ownership type thing. And I think them hearing it from her, really, I mean, just something clicked, and we were just a completely different team. And we wound up winning, and we knocked Oak Glen out. We kept them from going to states. And then we went on that year to win a state title, like, later on. But, like, that was such a pivotal moment, and I will forever be so grateful to her. She was a phenom and a beast on the court, but, like, that moment, like, just that leadership role that she took, I mean, it was, like, definitely like a just such a turning point, because they just were like, you're right. And so, because I was like, dag, like, I wish that this could happen all the time. So that is definitely a game that stands out for me, like, just because of the heart that they showed,
Yeah.
and just how I mean, they were 4 points from not going. So they could have just said, it's over, it's done, because I have had teams that have done that. And, I feel like I've done everything that I could. And either they ran out of gas or they just couldn't take it up a notch to do what they needed to do. But I will, that is one game that always will stick out as just like, I mean, like I said, I was kind of almost at a loss of what to say. And I called that timeout and I'm like, look, this is going to happen, that, whatever, whatever. And then for her to step up, and not even as a senior, for her to step up as an underclassman and take control like that, I just will forever be so grateful to her because, not just, it wasn't just like her play that helped us win the game. It was her leadership that helped them win the game. And
The things that
so,
you're teaching throughout the year, right? They come
yeah,
in as those
yeah,
short, right? Like you were just talking about that earlier. It's those
absolutely.
type of things, and I'm sure that she's my niece, and I know what those girls are about, and they're
Hmm.
competitive as I'll get out too, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been other examples of that. And that's just there's such cool stories to hear. I love hearing that, and I want to dive into those as we move forward throughout the year. Wrapping up, I want to talk to you. I guess a couple of things. I want to talk about what's next for Philip Barbour volleyball program right now. Like what's next? What are you guys working on right now? And then when's your first game? And then next time we meet, I want to talk about this year's team. I want to spend
Okay.
that working on that team. Maybe we get a couple of players on if you're comfortable with that. I'd love to talk to them.
Absolutely.
But tell me about what's next for Philip Barbour volleyball.
So, I mean, like I said, it's, every year it's a reset, you know, every year, you're always like, how are we ever going to replace such and such? Or how are we ever going to replace, these people? And every year it seems like the underclassmen, someone or a group of people really just step up. And I don't even want to say fill their shoes because I don't want them to be McKenna and I don't want them to be Avery and I don't want them to be Lindsay, who were my three seniors from last year. I want them to be who they are, but they always seem to pick it up a notch. Like they always seem to know that like, hey, we're it. Like we are the ones that have to step it up and we're the ones that have to make things happen. And so, we've worked hard. I brought in Coach Ray from Charlotte again. And one of the things that he does that I love is that he talks to them about their strengths and their weaknesses.
Right.
And he built some of his practices and his drills around skills that they felt like they needed. And so I love that. I love that idea. And even though I didn't do it, like he was here for 2 days and then we scrimmage on Monday. So today we had to spend some time like looking at some rotations and things like that. But I think having those conversations about like self-reflection and evaluation, like how do you think you did, how do you
Yeah.
think we did as a team, what are some things that you felt like you did well, what are some things that you need to work on. And so really just kind of doing some self-reflections and then learning from these things on what we can improve on, because if they can notice it, they might notice something that I don't. Like maybe there's something that is going on, like maybe it's their footwork, but I was looking like at their hands or something like that. Like, so it's little things like that, that if they can recognize that, there's always room for growth, I think we're going to be fine. I mean, we've got a lot of experience. Yes, we lost a lot, but we have a lot of experience coming
Yes.
back, and we definitely have a lot of athletic kids, and we have a lot of kids who love to play and who are, putting in the work. I mean, they've been grinding. And so, like I told you before, it's not easy. Nobody likes to condition day in and day out, but they know that it's necessary. And so I feel like what's next is really just continue to set the high goals and just do whatever it takes to work on improving not only yourself, but improving that culture that it's going to take in order to put another picture on the wall.
I love it. That's awesome. We're going to leave it right there because you got me fired up. So uh, I'm too old to get fired up anymore.
I,
Hey, I love it. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time on a Friday evening to sit down with me and to talk about this program. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. I don't think, Heather, people will realize. We've talked about this, just you and I at times, but I just don't think people will realize what an accomplishment this team, this program has made, has been, has done, whatever right word to use there, until we're older and we're down the road. We look back and I just don't know. I don't think it would ever be touched. So
I
that's
just
kudos to you and the players.
I just well, and I am not I am not a horn tooter. Like in fact, sometimes when people talk to me about it, I go on and on about the girls always, and then when they try to talk about me, I'm like, look, it's them. It's always them. I just give them the tools. They're the ones that are using them to do what they need to do, and I have been so blessed and so lucky to have girls who are willing to push themselves and to to give up every Saturday, from August till November and put in the extra hours and just really, I mean, just kind of grind it out because, they buy into it. And if they can continue to do that, then the program's going to continue to be successful because as long as I'm here and the people who are helping me this year, like they know my expectations and they are completely on board with it, like they think the same thing. And so, really, I hope that for the next however long this school is around and however long what the volleyball program is around, I hope that nothing changes. Like I hope that they continue to be that I mean, to have a tradition of excellence, like, and that comes from them, like it truly does. And so if they're willing to put in the work, I know, as long as I'm here, I'm going to push them and I'm going to continue to work even though I'm getting older now. But
Yeah, but
but
hey,
like I feel like if we can get, even when I am gone, that if the coaches can follow in my suit, have ideas of their own and continue that, like, just grind, push, challenge, kind of mentality, then they're gonna be fine. They're gonna have rough years. We've had years that we've made it that I thought, wow, all right. Like we've had years that we've made it and we lost, and I thought, what? Like, why? Like, we had the better team. I know it. We just had a bad game. But like, I like, as long as the girls are willing to buy into this program and the coaches are willing to give them the tools that it takes to be great, then I hope that it continues forever. Like I'd love for it to continue forever.
hey, keep the train heading down the tracks, right? So,
Oh yeah, yeah. And who knows, they might bring me the bear out of the mountain every once in a while. In your words,
I see
I
what you
had to
did
slip that
there.
in there.
I see
I had
what
to
you
slip
did
that in
there, and
there.
I like it. I like it. It's
Right?
about that time, right?
Right?
So we'll have to get
It's
you
almost
on an
it is
episode.
almost that time.
Bring the bear out of the mountains. It's about that
Ooh,
time. I love
caca. Yeah, yeah.
it. Let's go. All right, Heather, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. This has been awesome, and I can't wait to keep doing this. And really, I want to shed some light on your guys' program and really all of them at the school. But you, the players, just thank you. Um, this wraps up another episode of the Coach Corral. A huge thank you to Coach Heather Halfin for
Thank you,
joining us.
Brian.
And, oh man, it's been fun, for sharing her incredible insights and stories with us. Her impact on Philip Barbour volleyball, you can't. I just can't begin to talk about that, and really on the lives of her athletes. I see it firsthand with being a close family friend, and certainly with my nieces, and what you have meant to them, what you mean to the community, to all the girls, and just thank you. Um, if you enjoyed today's episode, I'm going to ask you, make sure you like, you subscribe, and you hit that bell up there on the YouTube stuff. I'm learning all this. Hit that like button. Share it with fellow Colts fans.
Do
We're
it.
going to have some fun this year doing exactly this and just getting some insight and getting some behind the scenes stuff. So you can find us right here on YouTube at the Colts Corral. That's TheColtsCorral. We're going to continue to celebrate the Colts. We're going to celebrate Heart Hustle and the heroes of Philip Barbour High School. Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby.
All right.
Go Colts.